The charter of the Foundation is primarily to support medical research throughout Australasia. It's a very important funding body in Australian research, but it has quite a different approach, and I think that complements the other bodies quite well. We've contributed to medical research something in the order of $11 million in the last 21 years. Within a very short period of time, we will probably be exceeding $1 million a year. In the not too distant future, I can see the foundation peaking at something just under $5 million a year.
It goes to equipment, it goes to supporting initiatives like symposia, and in addition there are some funds provided now to support people to do PhDs and perhaps in the future to support some postdoctoral fellows. So gradually the repertoire, if you want to call it, from the Rebecca L. Cooper for medical research funding is getting bigger and bigger and also getting more and more diversified.
Often the grants are relatively small amounts, but they might make the difference between a research project being successful or unsuccessful.
The reason the foundation has evolved in this way is probably twofold. Certainly the original members of the board, who are still there, were very much interested in the individual researcher, perhaps more than the large institute, although that's important in working out whether they get funding. But I think it was also a matter of infrastructure. Rather than spending a lot of money on formal processes, working out who should get funding and spending the money on that, we've tried to keep those costs down and make sure the money gets to the researcher with the least expenses possible. And so I think it's partly relating to we want to know the individual researchers and partly to keep costs down. But in fact it works very well.
There are lay people, community people on the board as well as experts, scientists, medical people, and the opinions of all of these board members are taken into consideration because each grant is marked individually and separately by each board member, and then the aggregate results are discussed at the board meetings and decisions about funding are made on the basis of the consensus from all the board members.
If someone's funding has run out and there's an interim period, we can often help them with that. Sometimes with these big granting bodies you get your budget cut and you can't buy the equipment that is actually quite important to do the study, and one of the things that it's tried to do is actually support specific pieces of equipment. So it's a very important funding body in Australian research, but it has quite a different approach, and I think that complements the other bodies quite well.
Occasionally we give funds to researchers that aren't so well established, and that hopefully will allow them to develop some research and become well established in the future.
If you're doing modern research, you can never predict what sort of equipment you're going to need from one year to the next. Sometimes you need it fairly quickly, and having the Cooper Foundation there gives one an extra option to obtain this necessary equipment so one can do internationally competitive research.